When it comes to family, my next guest says it's not about simply surviving together, and it's not about thriving together either. What we really want is to flourish as a family. To flourish means to grow, and Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson says that the healthiest family environments encourage growth. She joins me to explain. I am so giddy about this topic, this idea. I love the word, to flourish. So that, you say, should be our focus, to be flourishing.
It should be our focus. And here's why flourishing is so amazing. It is this idea of growth, but when something's growing, it means that the environment in which everyone is functioning is healthy. And I love that idea. If you think about a plant growing, right, the environment, the soil, the atmosphere, all of those things contribute, and it has this really healthy environment for that plant to grow. Families work the exact same way. So when we're looking to grow and flourish, we're also then combating this idea that we're overwhelmed or that we're stagnant or that things are too challenging. We're looking at it with that growth mindset that says, hey, we can create an environment where no matter what we have to tackle, we can do this. And I love that idea. Imagine if that's running through your family's minds all the time.
So even if things are challenging or we are drained or strained, we've got the soil, the water, the sunshine. If the structure is there, what I'm hearing you say, even in those strained moments, the growth happens.
The growth does happen. And again, it's through the challenges, right? We can really tie anything back to a plant that's growing. There's just so many good analogies there. But it grows through struggles and strains, and that's what families need to know how to do. So this growth is important. It is so important for us to believe that our families have the capacity to grow, and that's what flourishing does.
I think you've just charged every mom out there sitting up a little straighter and leaning in a little bit closer to hear how we do this, how we check this, and make sure we're in this space. First, you say we have to be committed.
We do have to be committed. Now, we look at families and we often ask what's going wrong. But we're doing a lot more research right now looking at what's making families go right.
I love that.
Or do great things.
We need more of that.
And there's a study that's been going on since 2007 that's looked at over 500 families to see how they grow.
Okay.
And one of the main components they found with these families is that they are committed. Now, we think of commitment like to people, and although we should be, we're actually talking commitment to a family system. Because sometimes the people in your family you're not going to get along with, or siblings are irritated with one another, or spouses don't feel like they're connecting or communicating very well. So it isn't today, am I committed to you as a person? It's today, am I committed to this family? And now we're going back to the environment. If we're looking at a family system where we're committed to that family, then no matter what the people are doing, or if it's a rough day with people, we are still committed to growing together as a family. So commitment is to the system itself, to the family relationships, not to individual people, which I think is so great because sometimes as people, we're kind of frustrating, or we don't connect, or things are challenging.
And relationships can be up and down.
They can ebb and flow.
In the moment, but the structure, the family structure needs our commitment and our pledge.
It does.
You want us to protect our traditions, which this is super interesting. I was just driving in this morning and I realized we're smack in the middle of summer, but I was thinking I should offer to host that extended family Christmas party this year. We have the space to do it, and it's something that meant a lot to my grandparents. I was just thinking that this morning, so to hear you bring up this protection of traditions, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
And you should say yes to that. Start now, right? Because it could be a big undertaking. Families that protect their traditions grow. What does protect mean? It means that we're willing to make sacrifices and be intentional about making them happen. Now, we think of big things like maybe a Christmas party or some sort of summer get-together or a family vacation. We also want to be protecting family dinner. And we want to be protecting saying hello and goodbye to each other every day. Look at the connection that happens when we protect these rituals. We want to protect them, which means we'll be intentional and put in whatever effort it takes. There are so many things that get in the way of this. Even just simple things like connecting over dinner. That should be a family tradition we work towards. And lots of things get in the way of that.
And I'll add, it seems we've become so easy at the pass. At the no thanks, at the I don't need to, at the does it really matter. We've become way too good at that.
That it's not that big of a deal, right? Not that big. Now, to add something to this, holding family traditions or protecting them with no meaning behind them, with no heart behind them, it actually does damage to a family system. So you want to make sure that there's heart in these things.
Yes, they're the right traditions.
We have to know in our hearts that they matter. And then we can go ahead and put the effort into them.
If we want our family to flourish, you say we need to get to know our family tree.
We do. And this is some of my favorite research that continues to show itself. And that is that everything about us is healthier when we know the generations that came before us and when we're connected to them. This is where grandparents are vitally important. We want to do whatever it takes to have relationships with extended family. It increases our self-esteem. It creates an environment where we know who we're connected to, and so we'll buy in and commit to that environment, to that system, because we know who we are connected to. It's a great challenge to take this summer. Without school and some of these other things going on that fall away, right, during the summer, now's the time. Do what you need to do to develop relationships. Find a cousin and become a pen pal. Arrange FaceTime with grandma and grandpa once a week if they live far away. Find ways to connect to your family. Those intergenerational relationships, they help us flourish.
A family who flourishes also uses technology together.
And
talk to me about this.
Isn't that funny? Because we're constantly saying technology is just the worst.
It's the bad guy.
It's the worst,
yeah.
right? And in our homes, we sometimes feel that. And yet technology is not going anywhere. And families that tech together can grow together. Now, here's what we mean by this. We often, as parents, look at technology and we're constantly monitoring it. Well, what if we mixed in with some of that monitoring, using our phones to text our kids all the time during the day? To say, how was swim, or what's new, or I saw these sandals, they're your favorite color. What if we used it to do that? What if we used it to praise them? What if we sat down and played some video games with them, right? What if we showed up and we learned how to play Mario Kart 2 and we all sat down and played together? These things help families grow. So we can use tech in such beautiful ways if we're willing to even use social media to say things that support a family system.
Okay, I was recently just listening in on a women's group conversation at my church, and the person conducting the conversation, the discussion, asked, when was the last time you knew your mom loved you? And one young woman raised her hand and said she wished me happy birthday on Instagram. And I thought that meant, you know, for her to bring that up in that setting, that meant something to her.
It does. Those things mean something. Why not use social media for that? To express love, to show that there's connection. Again, we can go too far the other way.
Sure.
That's a whole different conversation. But to use technology in ways that connects us, right? We know, even with marriages, that 5 times a day to connect through social media or through texting, phone calls is a really powerful number. Imagine if we applied that to our kids and they heard from us 5 times a day through text message, or heaven forbid we called them and used a phone, right?
Old school.
Used the phone. So these things are really important. Lastly, if we want a family to flourish, we have to forgive.
Now, just attaching these 2 words, flourish, to forgive, I already feel a little choky.
We have to forgive. We have to take missteps. We have to take the fact that we're all human, and we have to apply some grace and look through them and past them and work around them.
Yeah.
We have to. We're not perfect. Our families will never be that. Everyone's trying, and even when they're not, we can still take a position where we forgive it and we look for ways to connect and commit to the family system again. We would then hope that someone would do the same for us. I hope my family offers that each day. Now, when we talk about forgiveness, we're quick to think about, okay, I'm a forgiving person, and we ask the question of ourselves. But if you actually want to know if forgiveness is happening in your home, you want to actually ask your family members if they see you as forgiving. That is a very, very different question.
That's a tender question.
It's a big question. I can look at myself and say, yeah, I'm good at forgiving. But I would hope that my family would say the same thing, and
Yeah.
we don't know till we ask.
Yeah.
So again, a really great challenge. Take the time to say, do you guys see me as forgiving?
Does mom forgive?
Do you see me as overlooking
Yeah.
and offering that grace?
Yeah.
We might be interested, we should be interested to know what the answer is. And then it's not just our perspective, but we're actually connecting and again, flourishing because we're willing to accept that everyone is doing the best that they know how.
I
The best they
loved
can.
this conversation. I think it's one of my new favorite words, to flourish. Heather, thank you so much. Heather coaches families and individuals. You can find her contact information on our website.